And I remember getting to that corner and looking back at him and saying, no. And he threw a Zippo at me that we had just bought in Switzerland. It was red with the Swiss flag, with the white cross. And then I'm in flames. Oh my God. And I didn't know why, but I felt more confident than I did before I got burned.
Isn't that amazing?
I didn't know our truth is our power. When you speak out and you say whatever it is, no matter how ugly or dirty or whatever it is, there's nothing anybody can ever do to you. I want to tell the story again as loudly and proudly as I can. Also, it's not just a story of what happened, it's the story of what happened next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Iconic Midlife. I'm your host, Roxy Manning. One of the things I believe most deeply is that life doesn't always ask our permission before it changes us. Sometimes those changes come gradually through aging, motherhood, divorce, illness, or loss. Other times, they happen in an instant. Today's guest knows better than almost anyone. In 2018, Tonya Meisenbach survived an unimaginable act of domestic violence when her then husband set her on fire. She suffered devastating burns that forever changed her appearance, but instead of allowing that tragedy to define her, she chose to redefine beauty itself. Today, Tonya is a model, media personality, advocate, entrepreneur, and the founder of Burn Beauty 2018, where she's inspiring thousands of people to embrace their scars, both visible and invisible, and recognize that resilience can be one of the most beautiful things we ever wear. But what struck me most about Tonya isn't simply what she survived. It's who she became because of it. This isn't just a conversation about trauma. It's a conversation about identity, confidence, reinvention, and finding the courage to love yourself after life changes everything. I hope you'll listen all the way through because I have a feeling this conversation is going to stay with you long after it ends. Here's my conversation with Tonya Meisenbach. Tonya, welcome to the Iconic Midlife. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I wanted to dive right into your story because I think it is so important for our audience. You know, I think there's a lot to go through. So just to give people the background who are listening and watching, can you take us back to 2018? Like, what do you remember from that day? Take me back a little bit.
Okay, I can recall being upset the whole day that morning. It's called ruminating. When you know a narcissist is lying to you, which is what I was married to, I was ruminating. Like, you're trying to your mind is like, this 2 and 2 does not equal 4. So, and it was because I'd been angry with him for a few weeks. We had just renewed our vows in the French Alps, our 10-year vow renewal a month before in the French Alps, a dream. But he disappeared while left me standing on the streets of Geneva, Switzerland, which is the same thing he would have done at home, just disappear for the whole night. I was not forgiving him that time. It had been 15 years. The kids had just moved out that month as well while we were in the Alps because they were, old enough. And both moved out. We were in the house alone. And I had started working as a realtor, so working outside of the house again with my own money. And I think he felt threatened. I didn't know it, though. That's the retrospect. And what was going on that day was I was just angry. I was just, telling him, you're a liar, whatever. And I sent him a text at 5:40, I think it was 5:43 p.m. that I still is on my phone because iCloud, right? Loaded it back in. He deleted it, but it came back. And it was something snarky. And he got home shortly after that. And I remember him saying, let's go sit out by the fire. Because that's what he always loved to do that. So that wasn't unusual. He sit out there. We used to smoke, drink. So that's what I remember is him coming home after that text, 5:43 p.m. Let's sit by the fire, and at 8:09 p.m. was the 911 call.
So that time in between.
That gets fuzzy, because also I was drinking wine. I'm stressed. I'm drinking wine from cigarettes. And I remember us sitting there, sitting by the fire. I'm sure we were arguing. I know my daughter came to pick something up, and she said, I can hear you from the street. She stuck her head out the back door and said, I could hear you from the street. And I remember kind of laughing. And and after I woke up, I remembered that I was laughing before she said that, so my mind got mixed up, right, with the afterthoughts, but, um, when I woke up from the coma, I didn't remember what happened, but what actually happened was me reaching out across the fire and him squirting the lighter fluid so the flame came up and me running. Like in the backyard, our backyard was very, private. So I ran like I was running to the driveway towards my car, and when I got to the corner, um, he had been squirting lighter fluid at me the whole time as I ran. I had this really long hair and it was like down my bottom, and I can remember that, and I remember getting to that corner and looking back at him and saying, "No," and he threw a Zippo at me that we had just bought in Switzerland. It was red with the Swiss flag with the white cross, and then I'm in flames.
So when you woke up in the hospital,
Mhm.
what was going through your mind? Because again, this is like 2 months after
Right.
it happened. So
Wow.
what was going through your mind, especially those first few days and what had happened?
Yeah, I couldn't remember everything, but as I was waking up to that man, the same man kissing my face, telling me how bad the accident was. The police didn't question him at all. I didn't know until 2024. I didn't see the police report that showed they closed the case within maybe 8 hours. Like, oh yeah, it looks like an accident. And he told a bunch of different stories, throughout the time, because it takes a liar a while to work that out, and he's under stress. But so I'm waking up, and he's there because he's not been questioned. He's been the doting husband in the hospital. He's enjoying it. He's the hero now, taking care of his. I wake up, and it was February when I woke up, and there were roses there and a giant stuffed yeah, he's buying me stuff. Why? I'm in a coma. Who are the flowers for?
Ah,
They're for everybody else,
yeah,
right?
right,
I
right. It's
can't
for the
see them.
show. It's
It's
for the
for the
show.
show. I'm in
Right.
a coma. Why are you doing these things? And I don't know. I think a lot of people knew he wasn't right in the hospital, but it's not their decision to make. But yeah, so waking up and he's telling me about the accident, and you are so heavily sedated. You've got paralytics and fentanyl and morphine, and you're just like, you don't know what's going on. Um, I just knew I was alive. They were asking me if I knew what month is it. It's like December, and they're like, no, it's February, and so you're just very confused. And I'll tell you the one thing I thought though, a little bit later, he said to me, I really missed you. I'm really sorry. Now I can see how bad I've been treating you all these years. And I really missed you. I'll never do it again. Now I understand how bad I've been treating you. Now he hadn't been hitting me all those years, but emotional abuse all those years that I didn't know was abuse. And do you know, I found that to be a relief. That's how bad narcissistic abuse is. I was laying in a bed. I literally didn't have a face. I couldn't move. I couldn't pick up an arm. I don't know if I'm going to live or die because just waking up from the coma is no guarantee. And I felt relieved just by him saying he was not going to torture me anymore. That's what we have to understand about emotional abuse.
Right.
It is killing you. It is horrible.
When was like the first time you knew like the totality of what had happened?
It was 2023, so that's
Okay.
many years later.
Okay.
Now the first, okay, so that's not fair. I knew things were going wrong the whole time after we got home. He was doing stuff like stealing my pain medicine. No kidding. I mean, and then I later, like 2022 or somewhere in there, found out he had been on meth the whole time. I had no idea. I thought he had a problem drinking. Right? No, he's on meth and heroin. He's stealing my pain medicine, but still, I felt like I still didn't remember, and I don't know if that was a choice or not because I didn't have anywhere to go. I don't have family. I don't want to move in and with my kids. They're living their best life. So I just kind of hunkered down and I don't know where I was, a very dark place. just try to stay alive. I'm hiding my pain medicine once I was able to give it to myself. So I started doing Burn Beauty. And that was just because I finally made a video to tell my friends what had happened, like my Facebook friends. I didn't know anything about making videos. I didn't know anything about social media, but I made it and didn't realize that anybody could see it.
Mhm.
And so people started to respond, right? They're like, oh my gosh, we're going through this. So when I was able to connect that dot, like, okay, this is what I can do for the rest of my life, because I was only 47 at the time. And I don't want to sit on the couch for the rest of my life, right? So when I started doing that, it started to change things. Now he started to get jealous, and I think that was dangerous, but only in retrospect do I realize that. But in 2023, I started doing TikTok, and I was doing TikTok live and telling my story every day and doing my makeup. And I did that for 2 months, maybe 3 months. And eventually, just the pictures in my head didn't match my words. Because, you're on autopilot with the words. The pictures didn't match. And I got so confused. Fortunately, I was in therapy. And I asked my therapist, like, is this real? Could this be true? And she went, yes. And I think she already knew. She was very quick. I could tell she didn't care for him, And she was like, absolutely, let's work it out.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
life-saving.
Life-saving. Thank God you had therapy like that. So when you came home from the hospital, you 2 were still living together at that
Yes.
point for years after that, right?
He's my caretaker. Yes.
Wow.
They send me home with him.
With
I'm so
perpetrator,
with
literally.
him, with you're sleeping with the enemy and how he's
Yes.
taking care of me. I still couldn't walk. I had to learn to walk and talk. I couldn't swallow, so I had a feeding tube,
Mhm.
and I couldn't swallow the pills. They had to be grinded up and put
With you.
right. So he was completely in charge of everything.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he's sadistic too. He does some ugly things.
Did
Like
he? Like,
he on like 3 occasions, he put, like, this liquid laxative. I don't know what it's called, but it's really strong. It's magnesium something,
oh,
right?
wow.
It's
Yes.
the clear stuff, but
Yes.
he put that in my feeding tube without telling me and put so much that I woke up in the middle of the night laying in feces.
Waste. Oh my
Laying in
God.
waste.
Oh
With
my.
them saying, "Well, I don't want you to get constipated because of the pills." They keep saying not to get I was like, "What is wrong with you?
Oh my God.
Why would you do that?"
Why would you do that? He just wanted to
And not
torture
just
you.
once,
Right.
but 3 times. That's why it's not a mistake.
No.
It's a choice.
That's sick. And is
Isn't that
he
sick?
yeah, no, that's absolutely sick. So what took was it the therapist that kind of pushed you to make the decision to, like escape him essentially, you know?
Right. I mean, as soon as I remembered
Mhm.
and I needed validation from someone else to say, "Yes, you are allowed to believe your memory,"
Mhm.
because that's the damage narcissistic abuse does, or any emotional abuse. You doubt yourself. That's
Mhm.
the biggest loss. Th so wanted to leave, but then it's like, "Well, I don't have enough money." He had all the money, and by this point, he had blown all the money. We had a family business, and it was falling apart because I used to run it, and I would run it as the office manager, and he would always, tell me and he would just insult me about it, like, "Oh, you could never run a business, blah, blah, blah." And in retrospect, I was running the business, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was falling apart. I didn't realize a lot of things, like that I could leave and get temporary alimony.
Oh.
Didn't know that, right? Um, Ultimately, I thought, well, let me save my money. I've got to get out. And I contacted the Partnership Against Domestic Violence in Atlanta, told them my story. They said you could go to a shelter, but you can't take your dog. And I said, no. I said, no. Now, a lot of shelters have changed that. Because I didn't want to kennel him because he knows how long I'm going to be there. And he and I are all together. He's my emotional support. So I started sleeping downstairs on the couch in the house. He would sleep upstairs. My dog would sleep in a bed because my dog goes to bed. You have to know him.
Mhm.
No matter what, he's going
Like,
to
I'm not
bed.
moving.
He's like, look, I'm going to bed. So,
Right.
so he'd be in the bed. They'd sleep up there, and I slept on the couch for over a year. And it wasn't even a real couch. It was like a recliner. And I slept there for over a year with sort of my aching, broken body, but I would work, I would sleep there so I could hear him coming. We had guest rooms upstairs, but no, I needed to hear him coming. And no one should do that. This is not what you should do. Um, but I didn't know. At that point, I still didn't know what narcissistic abuse was. I still didn't know that the 15 years prior had been abuse. I thought it had just been he's a jerk.
Right.
It's a difficult marriage, but when you come to understand what's happening to you, you have to get out. So at least I called the Partnership Against Domestic Violence. We put together a safety plan because they understood that I was staying. They said, okay, well, here's what's going to happen if he gets upset. What are you going to do? So I had X, Y, Z that I need to do. Um, and then the financial abuse started. He knew I was making money, so he stopped paying bills. And like the electricity gets turned off. I've got to get the electricity turned back on. We're in a huge house, like 4,500 square feet. And the air's running all the time. These are huge bills, right? So it started to drain my money that way. I'm always trying to cover the bills. I saw him not go to work for 2 months at one point, and that's when it started to feel hopeless. Like, how do I get out? And he actually, he got me arrested. Oh, girl.
Oh my
So
God.
there's a thing called provoke and record for a narcissist where they're going to get you riled up and then they're going to turn on the camera and act very calm. Well, he did that when my dog was injured, and I pushed him out of the way because he was in my face. He's 6'4", 220. I pushed him out of the way. Didn't know he was recording, didn't care. Came back. The police didn't believe him, but still, I got arrested. I've never even had a ticket. It all got dismissed. Everybody understood what was what. I got let out. However, he then on top of it went to get a restraining order against me, but that gave me the opportunity to file for one against him because until that moment, I wasn't able to. Telling the court, oh, he set me on fire 5 years ago is not enough to get you a restraining order. Like, well, what has he done lately?
Right.
Real-
That was the response?
That's really, it's like he hasn't done
Oh my
anything
God.
recently. So
You're like, he tried to kill me.
it's like,
Yeah.
but he hasn't done anything recently, so you don't get a restraining order. But when he did that, then I could answer counterclaim, and that got him out of the house. And that was 2024. I was still stuck though in Georgia because now I'm in the house. I've got some temporary alimony, but what do I do now? Like I can't stay here, but how do I save money to move? It was always just a challenge to get out until a nonprofit called Face Forward International saw me on an ad that I did on Instagram and said, "Hey, we could do some work around your nose and your eyes, and we have a place for you to stay in Los Angeles. You can stay for free, you and your dog." That's how I got out.
And that's how you did it. That's how you did it.
I just said yes.
Yeah, you just said, that's
It
it.
was just like
Yes.
I mean, it was a crazy thing to do. I didn't have nostrils at the time. So, I mean, of course, I would like to have them, but I wasn't thinking of having surgery. But literally, I had a meeting with the executive director. She told me they could help me because I thought we were meeting about me being like a brand ambassador. I didn't know they wanted to help me. And when she said it, I just said yes. And 40 days and 40 nights later, we were in LA. I packed up what I could into a pod and put it in storage. And then I couldn't fly with my dog because he's giant. He's 126 pounds. So they flew one of my friends from Los Angeles to Atlanta, rented us a car, and we drove back across the country.
So what do you think was holding you back from saying yes
Well,
earlier?
from just getting out,
Yeah.
just the fear of, I'm 53 and until last year, I'd never lived on my own because I'd been in my grandparents' house, first husband, kids, met the second husband very shortly thereafter, whirlwind, which it always is. So I didn't know I could do it by myself. That fear. And that's what keeps a lot of us in. We choose a familiar hell over what may be.
Isn't that crazy? It's like it's almost like part of your comfort zone, like in a way, as
It
bad as it is,
At
right?
least you know what
At
it
least you
is.
know it. It's familiar,
It could get worse in your
Yes.
mind,
Yes.
but it really can't.
Yeah. No, it really can.
It really can't.
So as you're going through like the healing process as well, what was harder for you? Was it the emotional scars, the physical scars? I mean, how did that look?
I think that the emotional
Mhm.
scars are much worse.
Yeah.
Of course, initially it was the physical because I had there was a lot happening. You don't have nose, your mouth doesn't close. They've recreated me completely. Um, so that was definitely my focus in the beginning. And that took a few years just to
Mhm.
overcome that. And I didn't know why, but I felt more confident
Mhm.
than I did before I got burned.
Isn't that amazing?
I didn't know. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. You just
I
it's
just felt it.
you're like a different person now, right?
Completely. When they say trial by fire or forged in fire, and a lot of us, do it, not literally like I did, but it really is a change if you can just get to the other side.
Yeah.
It's what I always try to encourage, and I know it's hard to walk out. I often say, I don't know if I ever would have gotten out if he hadn't done that. And I was miserable. I can't, so those emotional scars are still popping up because I didn't even know I was a domestic violence survivor. Yeah, I thought, okay, I got attacked. He set me on fire, even after I remembered. But the words domestic violence, it took me a long time. It was like 2024 when I was like, okay, that was domestic
Yeah.
violence the whole time.
Was it just too heavy, too hard to kind of, really put those
Yeah.
words to what happened?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it really was because I don't know. It's odd. Just think, okay, well, he attacked me. But when you say domestic violence and then you add in all those horrible feelings for the 15 years before, the misery, the anxiety, that fight or flight, you feel, I think that's worse. I do. I think that emotional aspect is worse than the physical.
Much harder. It's like the scars you don't see, that's
Hmm.
like what's inside, and
Yeah,
it's cutting. It's deep,
it is
right?
very deep.
It's very deep. Um, so what part of you remained untouched through all of this process? What is something the fire did not take from you?
My joy
Mm.
and my optimism. It's important that you not let the negativity change who you are. I still trust people. Even I get so mad at myself, right?
Mhm.
I'll be like, why do I insist on trusting them? Right? I say, why do I insist on doing this until someone shows me otherwise? And I was saying that to a friend, and she's like, because you didn't let it change you,
Mhm.
because you didn't let the negativity change you. And I thought about that a lot. And I was like, yeah, that is important. Don't let them change who you are
Mhm.
at your core.
And that really, I think that is part of your magic because that has allowed you to continue on and build this amazing platform, Burn Beauty 2018 that you've built, which is, I mean, it's absolutely amazing, actually, Tanya, because you know I feel like so many people might shy away from what happened to them and
Mhm.
maybe retreat or maybe just let it allow it to change them all the way. And it's like you've done
Right.
the opposite. You've run towards it. You've like put it out there for people to see, and you've really so like talk to me about that. Why was it important for you to kind of put it all out there?
Well, for a variety of reasons.
Mm.
Number one, he's not in jail.
I mean,
My biggest fear is he's going to do this to somebody else or,
how was he not in jail, by the way?
oh,
Like, how
well,
was
because it was, when I asked the police to
right?
reopen the case, just never heard back. It's just like, no matter, I checked. It's up to the state and the prosecutors for what they think they can prove, and you need to call it attempted murder, which is a crime in
Mhm.
Georgia. Believe it or not, that is not a crime in every state. It's not called attempted murder. You would call it aggravated assault because aggravated assault is a whole crime. Attempted murder indicates half a crime, and the sentence could be less. But most states want to prosecute it as aggravated assault, and that has usually a 4-year statute of limitations.
There should be no
There
statute of
should be
limit
none.
at all.
I'll be campaigning for that
Yes.
because that's ridiculous.
Is that
I
something
would
you
like
wanna
no
do?
statute. Yes,
Yeah.
I would like no statute of
Uh-huh, right,
limitations
right.
in domestic violence or however it can be written because it is so often that we don't come out and speak about it. I did, number one, because of that. And number two, because just of what my platform is.
Mhm.
And I've always been transparent. Also, it gives me power. I think that our truth is our power. When you speak out and you say whatever it is, no matter how ugly or dirty or whatever it is, there's nothing anybody can ever do to you.
No, and you're helping people. Like, you're helping there's so many other women
There
who are
really
in that same spot,
they are.
that need the assurance that things can be okay on the other side, that
Exactly.
right? That they can have the
That you
confidence
can
to
do
do it.
it,
Yes.
right? That
Yes.
it is okay because it
Yes.
definitely doesn't feel like it when you're in it. It doesn't, they've trained you to
Right.
not feel like you can survive without them and you're afraid.
Yeah.
But I'm here to say you can. I'm also here to say, again, your truth is your power. We are not going to live in their shame. I am not going to be ashamed of what he did to me. I'm not going to be judged by it. That's him. And that's a big part of domestic violence is that we feel ashamed for what they've done. Or people will say, why didn't you leave? Well, ask any of the women who try to leave and don't make it because that's the most dangerous day you can be with one of those guys. That's when you, even if they haven't touched you, that's where you might lose your life. Why didn't you leave? Well, I have kids. I don't have any money. I'm isolated. I don't have my family anymore. It's not that easy as why didn't you leave? Rather than asking women that, we need to say, what can I do? Or not even what can I do? Offer suggestions and don't leave it open ended. Can I help you? Can I pick up the kid? Can I, whatever, just offer something. If you want to help. A lot of times it won't work out for it takes time.
It takes time. It takes time, and you have to be able to make that choice, right, for yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
it's putting yourself first,
It is.
essentially, you know?
You have to get
Yes.
tired, and most of us get scared and realize, "Okay, I'm not going to make it if I stay with him. My kids are not going to have a mother if I stay with him." And I think I represent that. I think that when women see me and men, because it happens to a lot of men too, but when they see me, they can't not understand how bad it can get. There's a physical representation. My words, my story will match a lot of theirs, but they really have to get it in their mind like this is what can happen. I You can't get around it.
You can't. You
You
can't.
can't get around it.
No.
So I think it's, a big part of the I love it. It makes me
Mhm.
smile. If you can tell,
Yes,
like
yes. You're a very bright light, which I love. I'm
oh,
like, I feel the energy and the
like you're
brightness. Yeah.
happy.
Yes, I love that. I love that about you.
Yeah.
But I love that also you've named your platform Burned Beauty 2018. So I
Yeah.
really want to know, what is your definition of beauty now? Like, how do you feel about beauty, and what do you want other women to know about beauty and confidence?
Yeah, oh my gosh. I had so little my whole life, and that's what set me up for all the men I was with. And I want women to know that it is inside you. We love hair and we love makeup and I like pretty nails and all those things, but without doing the inner work, none of it will shine through ever. You won't see it, and others won't see it because I know if you're listening, you've seen a lot of people who should be are classically beautiful, but you look at them and you don't see beauty. That's that's part of the definition because so much of it is inside of you.
It's got to radiate out,
It
right?
has to it starts
Yes.
on the inside, and it's not about makeup, even though I love it.
Hmm.
I have a sign on my wall that says makeup is art, beauty is spirit.
Hmm.
And it is. It starts on the outside. And then of course good hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
know.
you
You
know,
love it.
I'm
You
always
love the
being
hair.
no insults to that, but you've
Right.
really got to do the inner work.
Yeah.
You really have to love yourself. And in order to do that, I think you have to understand your part in situations so that you can heal them. And when I say your part in it, not your fault, but you have a part in everything except maybe a random violent crime. What is the part in it? Well, I didn't love myself. I was okay with someone treating me that way. So I'm going to heal that so no one can ever do that to me again. And you'll always have a part. And if you just go for that and sit with it, that helped me so much.
Do you know the moment that you started loving yourself in that way? That was like
The
the
moment, oh, you know what? It was probably a lot more recently than everyone would think because, like, truly feeling it. I felt confident after the burns. I don't know why people were looking at me like crazy, and it was hard. In the first couple of years, I didn't go out much, but it was also COVID. But I felt confident then, but truly beautiful. I really think that came pretty recently after working with Face Forward. And when they did my nose and they've done, some injections in my face and I can move my face and my eyes crinkle when I smile, just things are coming back to normal. And I really just fell in love with that. And so that's like 2020 into 24 to the beginning of 2025. And with that, I started to do a lot of things differently. I was able to then, okay, I can lose a lot of weight that was really weighing me down physically. The skin grafts, they don't stretch. So if you gain weight, it's painful. So things I had to do. And then I started to stand up straighter, right? I could feel it and my nose is done and people are like complimenting that. And then it's like, yeah. And the reflection in the mirror, I'm so happy with.
That's
I mean, so
amazing.
yeah, so it took time. I
Right.
guess that's the point. There's stages to it where, okay, I'm building my confidence. I'm feeling really good. But now you can't tell me nothing. So
Yes, I
now we're
love
done.
that. You're like, "I am gonna walk out there," and you should. By the way, I
Yeah.
want you to get a modeling contract with Fenty.
Oh
I've
yeah,
been
go to
watching your
happen.
social media. I'm like,
I'm not
"Rihanna?"
giving up. Riri.
I'm like, "You need to put this woman in your campaign. Hello?"
it's it's because I love her so much because
Yes.
those clothes were the only thing I could wear. In the beginning, I couldn't even find a bra that would work because everything hurt me, right? My skin. So I started wearing them because I had to think about, like, why is it that I'm so obsessed with it? That's why I put it on, even sitting at home in a wheelchair. It made me feel good.
That's part of your recovery process. It was part of your
It was.
healing.
It made me feel cute.
Amazing. Yes, and you are so cute. I'm, like,
Right?
watching your social media, I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "You have got all the amazing looks." I'm like, "Okay, I need to go, like,
Now,
hang out with Tonya more because she's got it all down."
that's what's starting to happen now. I'm really
Right.
starting to enjoy it, you
See,
know?
that's amazing, like, having that joy, like you're saying, like
Undiluted joy. My grandmother always said, never let it steal your joy. That's the key. No matter what happens, never let it steal your joy.
and you haven't.
Mm-mm.
You
But
have
I would say he was definitely stealing my joy during that emotional
Oh,
abuse time
that
because that's the biggest thing. There's no way to feel good during that.
yeah, that's
That's
like a I mean, like, just the daily toll of it every day, day
it's
in,
a
day out.
it
Yeah.
causes brain damage.
It changes your brain, your
Changes your
chemistry,
brain.
right?
Changes your brain chemistry. It reduces your amygdala. It causes actual brain damage. The skins of women who've been through it look like that of combat veterans. Isn't that amazing? So the fact that brain damage doesn't have to happen in like one big, we think of one big hit on the
Right.
head.
Blunt force trauma,
Yeah,
something like
right.
that, right? Yeah.
And the studies show now it can be over time, a little bit at a time. And that's why you see women with such a higher incidence of Alzheimer's.
Wow,
It's
because
just
it's
learning
taking
that.
in so
It's
much.
just so
Right.
much if they're with it, if they're with
Right.
an emotionally abusive person. And then, you see grandma who's been with grandpa forever and he's never laid a hand on her, but maybe you don't know what's really happening. Emotional abuse is manipulation. It's not screaming. It's not, I mean, it can be, but it's more about making you doubt your own reality so that you have to depend on them.
Absolutely. How did becoming a survivor change you as a mother? Like, what was that sort of, journey? Like, did it change you? How did you like what was your relationship with your kids like throughout all of this?
It got better
Uh-huh.
because my kids are from my first husband, thank God. Right.
God,
So
yes.
I'm like, thank God. And there's like,
No
oh,
gene sharing there.
dodged that bullet because that would be horrible. And
Yes.
my daughter's 28, my son is 30. So I got married young, the first time. And they were so angry with me during that marriage because they were seeing and accepting what I didn't. Like, they were seeing me take less than I deserved. I wasn't being hit, but I was always unhappy. And my daughter, you know, after getting away, and I told her, okay, I'm going to get a divorce. And this is even before I knew I was going to get out of the house or anything. And she said, you should have left him 10 years ago.
Was she telling you this whole time during that 10 years, or was it
No,
something
she
that she
didn't
said
say it.
after?
She said it
Wow.
after. I mean, she said it after, you should have left 10 years ago. And so that's how much your kids are seeing. And they were a big part of why I wouldn't. And that's why I say when people ask why didn't she leave, they were teenagers. We were pretty well off. They had every opportunity, their college, they don't have student loans. That was paid for. And all I could think, when it was getting bad there at the end was, how can I provide this by myself when the business is, he would always say, it's my business. It's my business. And I wanted to be able to give them that life, but I know they would have rather had less. So that's how it changed me as a mother. Talking to my son, he said, Mom, we would have worked jobs. We could have all worked. And
So, like,
that makes me want to cry. I got
right,
that because how sweet is that?
right.
You
They'd
know,
rather see their mother happy, safe,
yeah,
loved
yeah.
than all the material things in the
And
world.
all this nonsense. And I'm
Yes.
always unhappy. And, it's amazing what you can learn. But, my kids were older, but I promise if you have younger kids, they're still thinking that same thing, that they just wanna see you, mom or dad, happy because there are a lot of women narcissists out there, just operating a little differently with the men, but it's still dangerous.
Yeah. Do they operate men and women in the same way if they're like true narcissists?
Yeah, a little kind of very much. My brother, he's not really he's my cousin, but we're brother and sister, right? And so we grew up together.
Yeah.
So his wife, clearly a narcissist, and he was going through it at the same time that I was going through this with my husband. So we couldn't even see to help each other. But that's kind of interesting because we're both from the same background. So we both have the same, we're both empathetic, both kind, but we both have some of those same insecurities. And that opens us up to these people. This woman behaved very much the same way, just lying, cheating, disappearing. Um, and they are not, men are a little bit harder on us as narcissists about, they kind of attack the way we look. Women generally attack your worth as a man or how you just mean things. It's all the same. It's all about ego.
And
It's
they're
all
so
about their ego.
broken inside that they're trying to
They're
hurt
trying to right.
somebody else on the
They
outside. Yeah.
know they're broken. They
Yeah.
think they're jealous of you. They don't like you. If you're with a narcissist or you're with someone who's treating you this way, they do not love you. People who love you do not purposefully hurt you. Not ever. Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Yeah.
Not on purpose. I mean, we can
Right.
hurt people, but not purposefully. And they do hate you because they're jealous of you. You're everything they can never be. And all it takes is one moment, one fit of narcissistic rage, and you can get hurt. And it happens more than we know. When for the people who don't survive, they're not there to tell the tale. But I'll look at a lot of news stories and I'll think, yeah, okay, well, we know what happened because it'll just be like, oh, he snapped. No, he didn't. He's been abusive the whole time, just not physically. He just, got tired. And I want all of us to know that. Um, I think men are in less physical danger from women narcissists because we're women, right, at our core. But you're really in danger if you're with someone like that. And if they have ever choked you, then you're 800% more likely to be killed by them than in an instant and then regular domestic violence. There's just so many interesting studies now about how this works, and I love being able to talk about it. And I love that we have platforms where we can share it because I never knew. I never heard. If you'd asked me what a narcissist was, I would have told you somebody who really loves himself,
Right.
right?
Right. Because that's what you think when
That's
you
what
come
we heard from
Narcissus.
Narcissus.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
he's staring at his,
Yes. His
image in the
image.
water,
Yes.
right? He's
Mhm.
amazing. Well, he was staring at himself because he didn't like himself.
Wow.
That's the part we missed,
Yeah, that's
know.
right. Because you think one way, like that it's that way,
That
but
he's
it's a
vain.
counter.
Right. We
Exactly.
think it's vanity and it's everything
Exactly.
but vanity. It's self-loathing and they want you to be unhappy. So people who love you don't want you to be unhappy
God.
and you have to get out.
Yeah. You have to get out. So what would you say to the women who might be listening and watching this that,
Mhm.
feel stuck or might be in some sort of a situation that they do want to get out of,
Yeah.
or, just want to make a change in their life in
Yeah.
some way? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, if you're with someone and it is emotional abuse, you need to contact a domestic violence organization. A lot of people hesitate to do that because he's not hitting me, but I promise you they are versed for it. Do that and then please reach out to whoever it is you are now estranged from because I know you are. If you're with someone like that, your family isn't close now. They've had to put up a boundary to protect themselves because you continue to go back to them. But if you're ready, reach out to your friend, your family, whoever it is that's not speaking to you. They love you. They just had to draw a boundary. They will help you when you come back. Genuinely, you cannot do it alone. Either, a support group is so helpful, um, and a domestic violence organization, they will give you a mentor to help you. Don't try to get out alone because a lot of times if you do, that's where you're really going to get hurt. And if you're just looking to make a change in life altogether, do it. Just say yes.
Right.
Just do it. Just take
Yes.
the step.
Yes. And I imagine a lot of women also feel like shame and embarrassment of what is going on,
Oh, yes.
with what's happening. And that might even keep them from
It
telling
does.
friends, family, trusted confidants. But tell somebody, right?
Tell
Talk to
somebody.
people.
I
Yeah.
didn't talk. I mean, if I had told my friends, "Hey, my husband disappears a couple of times a week.
So they
He
didn't
turns off his
know.
phone."
They
No, they
didn't.
didn't know because you're ashamed.
Mm,
You're embarrassed,
yep.
and that's why I said I refuse to live in his shame now. I did it for so many years. But you also do it because you know that if you tell them, "Hey, my husband disappears twice a week, turns off his phone, disappears until the bar closes," they're gonna be like, "What are you doing?" They might make you make a change, So don't hide it. Your truth is your power. You don't have to tell the world like I do, but tell somebody.
Tell somebody. And no one can change it. That is yours. Your
That's
truth is
yours.
yours. Yes. Yes.
Nobody can doubt. There's
No.
never a wrong answer,
No, no, never,
right?
never. Well, I mean, you have so many bright things on the horizons. A little birdie told me you have a talk show in the
Working
works.
on it.
I mean,
What is
what?
that?
Like, that is
How cool
absolutely
is that? It's
amazing.
like a dream.
I mean,
I've
can you
always
tell us a
wanted to
little bit
do
about
that.
what's happening with that?
Well, we're working on, I need to get a pilot together.
Okay.
I first found my interest in talk shows when TikTok asked me to do one years ago when they started doing, uh, live stream culture. And my TikTok actually asked me to do a show. Well, it was done virtually, but it was so good. It was done virtually and live, which, creates some situations, right? Yeah, there's some situations live, but it was so good. It was so moving. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. I tell my story all the time, and I gladly do. But when you can give people a platform to tell theirs when they're ready, it is so empowering for them to sit and talk about it and tell the world because again that truth is their power and that's what I want the talk show to do. I want to be able to use my platforms, pull that together and give people a chair to sit in and to tell their story if they want. Give a voice. And the more voices we give, the more people we reach. The more the people have to hear these stories.
Yes. And I understand you have some big talent attached to that too. Miss Sherry Shepherd, is that?
Oh, No, that was
Is that?
Well, she's attached to something else.
Oh,
I
okay,
met
okay.
her. Listen, this is the craziest thing.
Okay.
My agent contacted me and said, "Do you know Sherry Shepherd?" I was like, "Yes." Right?
You're like, of course I know Sherry Shepherd. Hello.
Like,
Sherry Shepherd.
I love Sherry Shepherd. And they just said she's a fan. She would like to meet you. And I just thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever I was like, "What? That is so amazing." So we had a big Zoom call and, all the details. I don't know what will come of what, and, all that's still under wraps, but that was amazing because was sitting with her and her agents, and they said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want a Netflix original." And I've been manifesting that because, I believe in manifestation. Like I said,
Yes.
ever since I got to LA,
Mhm.
every time someone asked me what I wanted, I said, I want a Netflix original because I want to tell the story again as loudly and proudly as I can. But it's not just a story of, also, it's not just a story of what happened, it's the story of what happened next,
Yes. I think
like
that's
overcoming that.
yes. That's so important because you're
Right.
showing women out there that there is hope and they
Yes.
can do it, you
Yes,
know?
you can do it.
You
So I
can
want them to see, like, hey, if you're in this situation, it's bad.
Mhm.
You need to get out. Yes, the story is tragic, but over here on the other side, you can be living your best life happier than you've ever been.
Yes, 100%. Looking back, would you change anything?
Mm, no. Well, because I couldn't end up here. I just said the other night, like, would if possible, learn my lesson sooner and skip all the pain? Of course. I can't say I'm happy I got set on fire, but I can say that I'm grateful for everything that's happened since. And if that was a part of it, then that's what it is.
And look what you've done with it. I mean, it's absolutely amazing,
And
Tonya.
and I feel kinda like a badass.
Yeah,
Like,
you
it's like I
are.
walked in fire.
Hello. I'm like, this is what I see in your future, like in the next year. Talk show and modeling for Fenty. I'm
Right?
like,
And we're gonna
there it
get
is.
that,
So
and I need a Netflix original.
yes, the Netflix original. That is no doubt going to happen. I mean,
It's
the
all happening.
yes.
It is.
Yes, it
It's all
is. It's
happening.
happening. It's happening. I mean, the way that people have, embraced you, especially on
So
social media,
grateful.
has been amazing.
So grateful.
So
But
grateful,
it
right?
does mean that they relate to me,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
huge
And
to
it's not
realize
even
how widespread.
yes, and it's not even necessarily that maybe they had the exact same thing
Right.
happen to them, but they might be feeling the same way, you know? It's like
People are.
right.
It's more so about resilience. That's why the
Yes.
important part is about what happened next, because
Next. Mhm.
whatever knocked you off the horse, right? It's not
Yes.
about that. It's about getting back on it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. Your story is just as soon as I heard it, like it hit me and I knew I wanted you to come on the Iconic Midlife because no doubt you are going to help so many women listening and watching. So if people want to follow you and find out more about you, where can they do that?
You can find me on every platform as Burned Beauty 2018. Literally every one. I do lives on YouTube. Might start doing some on TikTok again, but I always make sure to post all my content to every platform because the goal is to reach everyone, meet people where they live. So you'll find me.
Oh, it's amazing. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see that Netflix show and that modeling gig with
It's
Rihanna.
happening.
Yes, it's happening. It's
Riri.
happening.
So-
Yeah, Riri. Call her. Call Tanya.
Call me. Call me. So-
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Tanya, for
Thank
joining
you,
us on the
Roxy.
Iconic Midlife.
I am so happy to have been here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What an extraordinary conversation. Tanya's story reminds us that beauty isn't the absence of scars, it's the courage to stop hiding them. Whether your scars are visible or invisible, whether they came from trauma, illness, heartbreak, motherhood, or simply the passage of time, I hope today's conversation reminded you that your story is still being written. If this episode moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently about your own journey, I'd be so grateful if you'd help us reach more women by following the show, downloading this episode, and leaving a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Those reviews truly make a difference and help other women discover these conversations. You can also watch the full video episode on YouTube by searching The Iconic Midlife. And be sure to follow us on social media at the Iconic Midlife and at Red Carpet Roxy for behind the scenes moments, clips, and updates on upcoming guests. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Until next time, remember this: life may change the way you look, but it never gets to decide your worth. I'll see you next week on the Iconic Midlife.